Hey guys, Alien Sama back with another unboxing video. I know this video is late and I did have a few videos in between this special day in my life. But happy Veterans Day, happy Remembrance Day to everyone. I know I'm late on that. For me, today is a day where we remember everyone who served. For myself, it's my father. And with that, we move on to our unboxing video. Thank you guys so much. Happy Remembrance Day to everyone around the world, and for you people in the United States, Happy Thanksgiving. I think that's coming up, or maybe it's already passed, and I'm late for that too. But, either way, let's go! Alrighty, so today we have Evangelion Product Model 03 from Evangelion 2.0. This is a Legacy of Revoltech re-release, which is awesome because now that some of Revoltech items are kind of gone, I wouldn't say retired, but just hard to get now, they've decided and have chosen that some of the Revoltechs that really stood out amongst the rest or were highly appreciated from customers and consumers, they decided to re-release them as Legacy releases, aka... Whoa! Text. They decided to re-release some of them as Legacy ones, which is great, because this means we can get our hands on some Revoltech that, you know, that are kind of hard to get a hold of now, like the T-Rex one. I do really wish I could have got the Tyrannosaurus Rex one when it was in its Jurassic Park box. I think I still will try and find that. If any of you guys know where I can find the Tyrannosaurus Rex Jurassic Park Revoltech dinosaur, please link me to a website. I really want the one where it's in the Jurassic Park box. I have the Legacy one and it's not classified as Jurassic Park anymore. Why? I'm not too sure. Maybe because they didn't want Revoltech or Japan making money off of the Jurassic Park franchise. But either way, let's get this open and have a look. Let's get all the parts out and see what's inside, because there is a lot, which is great. Alright, so here we have all the parts out of the box, unwrapped and, well, kind of unwrapped and ready to go. Something that I extremely appreciate. I'm not sure if this came with the original figure when it was first released, but we have a completely different stand than what normally comes with Revoltech. This is not standard by any means, but I completely appreciate it. I used to never be a fan of the claw mechanism of this because it's, for some people, they would find it hard to tighten these joints or to keep them in good working condition. However, you can tighten this as opposed to the Revoltech joints that come with the other stands, like this one, for example. This is classic, this is not classic. So, unlike these white joints, this one can be tightened and adjusted as needed per your pose or for the weight of your Revoltech. These little clippy hands here, they can become loose after a while. However, just use the technique I've told you guys a few times in every video, is to simply take it out, use a toothpick. Once it focuses, use a toothpick with super glue, the stuff that makes your fingers stick instantly together, the fast drying super glue. Put it on a toothpick, and I mean like the littlest amount, not even a drop, just the littlest amount of super glue. Wrap the toothpick around there, let it dry, let it dry, let it dry. Do not put it back in while it's wet. Once it's completely dry, the super glue would have formed an extra layer of hard plastic or whatever you want to call super glue once it's dry, and it will make the joints tighter. It's extremely useful. Just make sure to put it in after it's dry, because if you put it in when it's wet, you know what's going to happen. Your joint's not going to be able to move. So, that stand is extremely awesome, which means there shouldn't be any extra holes in the back of this guy's back, which is excellent. So, something I really like about this guy already is it comes with an extra effects piece or action scene piece, which I love these. I have a few Evangelion Revoltechs, which we'll see later in my tour of my stuff. It's going to be a big, it won't be a big tour because my place isn't very big, but it'll be a full tour of all the things I've ever unboxed for you guys, things you've never seen me unbox, and blah blah blah. But you'll see that, all those Revoltechs in that video, which is coming up maybe in the end of this month. Maybe I'll do it for Christmas, yeah! Or release on Christmas Day, who knows. But yeah, I love these pieces. I love the extra pieces that come with the figure. I'm very happy to see that the Umbilical cord comes with that. I always love that just to see it there. An extra head, tons of extra arms, because this is the Ava unit that, if I'm remembering correctly, I hope I am. This is the Ava unit that the poor boy that Shinji goes to school with gets in unwillingly, knowing that it's infected by an angel, or it is an angel. I can't remember which one it was. It was infected, or it is an angel. He gets in it unknowingly and basically, you know, dies. Well, I can't remember if he dies, to be honest. I would think so, because this right here is the capsule he's supposed to be in. We can focus. That is the chamber in which the human goes into when you're in an AV unit. And at the end of this scene where this guy rips this dude to pieces, and I mean to pieces like a nasty, wild, savage animal, which was an amazing scene, AV Unit 1 rips open this guy's back, takes out this, and I believe he crushes it in his mouth. I believe AV Unit 1 crushes it in its mouth. Whoops. So, whoever's in there is very likely dead. I don't think we ever see him again after that, so. However, in the manga, it's completely different, so. It depends on what you've read and what you've watched. So yeah. This AV Unit, pilot inside, no longer alive. Sad day for everyone. But I think it's cool that it comes with this. I wonder if there's like a back piece where it's sticking out a little. I doubt it though. The only thing I do find kind of annoying about Evangelion hand pieces is basically, let's see. Basically every hand piece you'll get for an AV unit in all the Revoltech figures, the hands are exactly the same, but they're repainted. I don't know how many hands I have like this that is made for daggers and knives that aren't in the kit. Because I originally saw this hand when I got AV Unit 02 and Asuka's Ava, and it came with the knife that she uses to stab the angel's heart or orb, life orb, and just everyone. And AV Unit 01 comes with this one for his running pose. This is a crouched on the ground pose. They just basically go, here's all the hands we've ever made, enjoy. So, and the umbilical cord is obviously the same because it doesn't really change from Ava to Ava. What else do we got? Extra hands, or extra arms, I guess, for this dude. Oh, so for when the two arms aren't on him, we got the two shoulder plates. We got effects, which are to go on these hands. So claw marks, like, I scratched you and you bled everywhere. That can be used for any Ava, I guess. All you have to do is swap with the hands, because the hands don't really change in color. Oh, look at that, it comes right off. Oh, cool, and it moves. Oh, which means, damn it. Oh, well, actually, I was going to be like, oh, cool, I could actually put this head on another Revoltech of Unit 1, so it's like, damn it, the head is attached here, but it's not attached here. So I can put this head on Ava Unit 1. Excellent. So, let's plug that back in. Plug it back in. Oh no, it just goes like that. Okay. So, on top of that, so with that there, you just seat this dude in here. And once it's, come on, seat properly. Once it's like that, it's basically the scene where the two start fighting at it, where this guy smashes AV Unit 1 into the ground, and then he just starts pounding and fucking destroying him, or trying to fight him, and AV Unit 01 is already starting to go in berserk mode. So there we go, a nice up-close shot of the angry motherfucker. The eyes on AV Unit 1 here are really, really creepy, especially in like the lighting where it looks like it has whites in its eyes, even though it's just a red light in a black hollow shell. Oh god, this anime, I love it to death. There's a person that I follow on Instagram who he takes lots of photos of his Figmas and stuff, which I'll link you in the description box below. He loves the Kantai collection stuff, but he has some of the Ava stuff I only dream to find. I'm like, I I'm serious about it, but I don't think we would ever do it. But I'm just like, I'm serious. I'll trade you my Kantai collection stuff for your Ava units and your Figma pilots, because I have the Revoltech Froyline pilots, but I don't have the Figma ones. Give me the Figma. Okay. So we had a little look-see-do at all the parts. There's not much going on, really, except for the extra arms and whatnot, so we're just going to take this guy out, look at him, and get him set up for you guys. So as I was taking him out of his packaging to get him ready for the pose that I wanted to start him off for you guys, I noticed this nice little thing that's going on his back. It's where the, oh god, what's it called? I forget what this thing is even called, actually. It's where the pilot ejects, where this piece would eject in case of an emergency. But in the anime, when the pilot tried to eject, basically there was this gooey crap caused by the angel infection stopping this from coming out. As I'm about to say it, it's in my head what it is. But it stops it from coming out, and basically the pilot is trapped inside until the point where Ava Unit 01, I believe, rips the back off of this guy and then just pulls the capsule out and destroys it. And this right here, what just happened, was what was kind of frustrating while I was trying to pose him. The very tiny Revoltech joints are so small that it's so hard for them to stay together, and the joints between here and here are quite stiff, so I kept finding that this arm was falling off a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the very small ball joints being a part of a arm, unless it's the wrist, because the wrist, which is here, is very small, and there's not a lot of weight holding onto it. But that tiny little joint, just like the one on the wrist, is holding onto the entire arm, and when you're trying to pose the arm, I'm really worried that I'm going to accidentally snap that joint off. But moving on from that joint, that was just something that I noticed while trying to pose him. Not only is this here, which is really nice, an extra touch, is you can take this off if you want. This will not fit inside. It's not meant to go inside, because this is after it was pulled out. But you can take this off, and then an extra piece for his back can cover right over as if the pilot has not been ejected yet, which is awesome. Because I was like, oh, I don't want that being there the entire time. But then I noticed underneath the figure, when you pull him out, when you pull this figure out of the box, this piece will be right underneath him next to his legs. And personally, I don't really want that piece on there. No, I really don't. So we're just going to toss that back in the box. And, well, that leaves an issue. So, well, I guess if you take this off, then, if you take this off and you want to have it so it's kind of after the fact that this has been pulled out, they did add some damage along the side, so it's as if the core has been ripped out, but at the same time it doesn't really look convincing that this is the aftermath of the core being pulled out, so I don't know. It looks kind of strange without it, but at the same time, they at least did something to make it look like it was the aftermath of this being torn off and blah blah blah. Because how does this work? This opens up this way, I believe, like that. And then the core injects. I can't remember. But either way, they could have did a little bit better on that, but with all the stuff that they had to offer for this Revoltech, they did a good enough job. You can't reenact every scene when it comes to each and every Ava unit that gets taken out. The next thing I noticed, so this is the other head that's inside the box, the extra head, and what's really fun about this guy, he has a mouth joint. I wish with all my heart and soul that every Ava product that gets released has a mouth joint. I know the Avas don't always open and close their mouth, but for this particular case, and all cases, I really wish they did. And what's kind of neat, though, is the type of ball joint it's on. If you noticed while it's moving its head, they have eyes in different positions. So this eye doesn't follow the head the entire time. So if you do this, there's absolutely no pupil, and then when it's all the way open, the pupil returns, because there's a pupil painted down here and a pupil painted up there. Very interesting Revoltech, very good. And as always, we have the same joints. This would be considered the more advanced Revoltech Eva or Evangelion figure. In the last video, we had Eva Unit 00, which I did confirm it was Eva Unit 00. It's Eva Unit 00 prototype. I knew it wasn't Mark 9. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure where they got that from, but whatever. This would be the next step up. This would be the much more flexible Eva unit. 00 did not have the toe joint. The legs were still fairly bulky, and the hip joint wasn't nearly as advanced. It was still kind of bulky and hard to pose. But this guy, this is the next evolution in Eva Revoltech figures. This guy is much more posable and the joints are much nicer. Although, unfortunately, because the legs and the hips and the arms are no longer as bulky, the ball joints on it are much more noticeable. Is it a trade-off for the flexibility? Yes, in my opinion, because being able to see the ball joints is not very appealing. And it seems like no. I thought when I didn't actually take a huge look at him as we were going, but I thought because we had the new stand, we weren't going to need any holes in his body, but he still has a hole up his bim for putting the classic stand in, which, I don't know how to feel about that. But regardless, he is compatible with the old stands, which I guess is okay, because you never know when you'll lose your other stands. So, oh gosh, I've opened so many of these. Going through its flexibility is very old and repetitive. But we will go through its flexibility. Minus the second set of arms, which hopefully you Evangelion collectors know is not a normal trait for Eva units. So we'll actually just take these off so they're not distracting. The other set of arms is not normal. So with this head right here, you have no flexibility under the chin, which is not normal. The other head that we took off and replaced with this does have flexibility. The head can move very fluently, and all AV units, or all the newer AV units, have this crazy shoulder neck joint. Makes them like a vulture. The new Evas, or I guess all the Evas, have the same arm joints going on. La la la. Very fancy, I guess, whatever you want to call it. So, very flexible when it comes to the arms. The arms can move in every direction you basically need it to. Minus the very irking rebel joint. Rebel joints. And then we have the elbow. Elbows are simple, there's not much to them, and elbows shouldn't be able to do much anyways. Move back, move forward. Although with the Evangelion units, or the AV units, they can touch their wrist right to their shoulder pretty much, which is nice, because some figures, the amount of flexibility they have is from here to here due to whatever's going on at the elbow. And the wrists are very posable as well. I think from the last figure the joints are different too. Yes, in our last video the joints were just a hand with a peg sticking off it and you stick the peg in, but now Revoltech has a tiny, tiny, tiny Revel joint to hold your hands on. So they are working on their practice, which is great. This AV unit is more flexible than the last one. Almost as flexible, well, minus the crazy neck, almost as flexible as the red one from the Robot Spirit, or the Spirits of Robots, whatever the brand is called. This AV unit has two joints, one here, as opposed to the other one where it was just one joint in the middle, which kind of made him do a super scissor effect with the waist, which kind of sucked. Because when you bent him over, there was a big split right here where the single joint was. But now we just get this, and this nice rubbery plate is covering over the other joint, which is great. Ha-ha! And for the waist is much more flexible, a lot more room than before, at least from the last AV unit. Like I said, this is not the last stage, but it is definitely the higher stage, or the more advanced AV units that you can get when it comes to posability and joints in the figure, which is great. And then we have, let's see, this, it has a full rotating axis for the hip, which this one is a little stiff over here. Come on, you can do it. There you go. Haha. The other ones only had a ball joint that was stuck right into the waist, and that was it. But now they have two separate things. They have a ball joint here, and then they have a spinny woo-woo da-da, whatever you want to call that. It has a rotating axis right on the hip bone, along with, the ability to do splits for whatever reason. Actually, no. I love the joints that they have going on the hips in the newer figures. It's amazing. It's super, super fantastic. It allows you to do all sorts of crazy poses, like crazy yoga poses. Yeah! So, wunderbar, excellent. And of course, the knees are still the same. There's just a little bit more room due to the bulking down of the figure, the slendering of the figure, to look more like the anime, or the newer anime. And, well, I guess they haven't redone the manga, but the new anime. And then coming down, same thing with the foot. The foot has been changed a little bit. This plastic here is still squishy, although it's a lot more flexible, though be careful, because it's only connected with this tiny little piece of rubber down there. So if you break that, good luck. Why do people feel the need to rev up their vehicles when they know it can only go 100 kilometers an hour before it falls apart? Anyways, and then with the newer Revoltech Evas, we have a toe. We have a toe. Look at that. We have a toe. And what's nice is they painted the toe all the way around, except for right on the inside. Beep. Very good. So there we go. That is the newer Revoltech Evangelion with the newer, more updated joints. Excellent. So let's get this guy in an epic badass pose that we were originally going to do before this, and we'll get back to you. Okay, so before we zoom out and show you the pose that I have going on, there is another feature that was really nice. That, unless you can read Japanese on the box, or you see the little picture that indicates it, Eva Unit 01's head can also move. And if the teeth are shut, his eyes are yellow, and if he's roaring, his eyes are very red and angry, which is awesome. And then the other thing is, the extra arms that I was kind of confused as to why they were in there, because they look just like the other arms, is that these arms, which is in the box when you first buy it, has that little nib, which indicates the arm can extend. I'm not really sure what the point of the arm extending was. I knew in the fight that the arm stretched, but I feel like this is not showing like a stretching effect very well. It really just feels like the Eva is unfolding its limbs as opposed to stretching. And it also helps for getting a reach of the arms from the Eva, this Eva to this one. It helps the arms that are kind of underneath the red ones to get to where they have to be, which is kind of nice, I guess. But I'll never be using these limbs because the pose that we have right now is the pose that we'll be using on my shelf. So let's zoom out and take a look at what we got. So the pose that I chose is very reflective as to what is on the box, although these little hand pieces right here are not particularly for the opposing Eva to use. It's supposed to be if you were to replace this Eva in the position of him when they switch and Eva Unit 1 starts becoming the victor of the fight, and this is for when Eva Unit 1 starts ripping this guy's extra limbs off and making him bleed and busting blood everywhere. Regardless if the umbilical cord was ever actually attached during the battle, I love just having it on there because, I don't know, just the umbilical cord is such a nice extra feature, and I always just pop it on there and try and look like it's in motion as well. So this is super cool. I love the fight scenes in Evangelion. It's like watching animals go at it, but it's people, and it's not strange. Or, it's hard to explain. Anyone who loves Evangelion has a passion for the fighting and the animation, which can be amazing and lacking at the same time. If you understand where I'm coming from for that, you definitely understand what I mean by how amazing the fights are and how ravage and savage they are. But this is the pose that I chose. It's really nice. I super like it, and it's going to be like that forever. I also love that the two are roaring at each other like, fuck you, die. Overall, out of a 10 rating, 10 being the very best, I would actually only give this figure a 8 out of 10. Why not a 9 out of 10? Why not a 10 out of 10? Why is it not like the best Eva figure I've ever purchased? I'll tell you why right now. So as I was unboxing this figure off screen and between cuts, I noticed the limbs kept falling off, the tiny little joints that are in the wrist kept giving out and they wouldn't hold their weight, which is very unfortunate because it makes it really frustrating to pose. And on top of the little tiny joints making it hard to pose, it's Revoltech. You all know why I don't like Revoltech, and those joints being all click-clack, I'm only going to go in a particular place, doesn't make posing with the freaking joints that pop out all the time any easier. So that was super frustrating. The poses that are on the box over here are they're not hard to achieve, but they are annoying to achieve with these type of arms. I would much prefer if they had just made some hybrid messed up joint just for the shoulders, or if there's just some way to have the arms already pre-attached and then just swap out for regular arms that didn't have the mutant extra arms attached to it, which would have been nice. Although they're not going to do that now, considering this is the Legacy re-release. But it would have been a nicer thing to deal with. I would have thought maybe they would have fixed some of those problems, but you know, people just buy it, they enjoy it, and I'm here to review it for you guys. I'm the one here to pick these things apart and figure out what I don't like about them and what I recommend about them that would hopefully pursue you to buy them, other than the fact that it's Evangelion. We got the joint problem, the posing problem, the weird fact, or it's just a small detail, but the weird fact that it came with a updated stand, but still has a hole in its body, which for visualness, it's kind of off-putting. You're like, why is there a hole in his back? My stand doesn't come with a hole in his back. Something I'm not a huge fan of, even though at the same time I appreciate it. I appreciate they put it into it. I'm not a fan of these rubber joints like the one that I showed you before that covers over. Because if you have, which is an issue I have with some other Evas that I own with the rubber joints, if you have the Eva in that pose for too long, the rubber joint will mold and it will stay that way. And there's basically no way of taking it out of that. So if let's say if you have this guy bent back and this rubber piece was squished at an angle instead of being straight, it's gonna stay squished forever. As for paint, once again, I really wish the glossiness of the Eva was toned down just a little bit. I do appreciate that the overall Eva is extremely glossy, but the hands are matte, which is something I really enjoy. I love the hands being matte. The extra limbs are not as high of a gloss as the rest of it, which is good because it really makes it stand out. The arm goes from glossy to a little more matte, and then it's completely matte at the hands, which is nice. But I really wish this matte right here was somewhere along the Eva. Maybe the whites, or maybe the blue is matte and the white is shiny. I don't know. But that's just a personal opinion for that. The main thing that brings the Eva down to an 8 out of 10 as to opposed to 10 or 9 out of 10 is the joints. It's like, if you're going to make something posable, make the joints work. Please, for the love of God. There's so many figures I've bought that are posable and the joints break or the joints don't hold up, and I'm like, why is this even posable? But the joints is the main issue. If you're going to make a posable figure, make the joints work, for the love of God, and the fact that the joints kept coming apart. Luckily, I think Revoltech thought ahead when it came to its joints that, oh, the parts might not stay together, so when the pieces, or the two pieces that kind of click together to make the gears, when they pull apart, they don't break, and you can snap it back together. The only problem is, with ones like these that are up in the shoulder, and you're twisting and pulling, it might not be the two pieces that come apart that breaks, it might be the part that connects to the, I guess, both the shoulder joints, which I was very afraid of for this one that kept coming off. But, other than that, which the joints will always be my reason to downgrade the Revoltech, other than that, sculpting's beautiful. The faces could have been a little better sculpted. I know that these Evas originally came out a while ago and they redid them, and sometimes re-releases aren't actually as good as the original. But I do wish the faces were a little better sculpted. Eva Unit 1's looking kind of derpy down there, to be honest. This guy, because he's such a dark blue with a red, the contrast between the dark blue and red takes away from his face. So maybe a touch-up of highlighting and or mostly just highlighting his face with my own paints, might help with bringing the detail on his face out. Oh, I could point out so much more, but honestly, if you love Evangelion, this product is for you. I paid $64.99 for that, and that is in Canadian, so it'll probably be cheaper in the United States, because I don't know why everything is cheaper in the United States, and it's not because the Canadian dollar sucks, it's just, I don't know, maybe Japan doesn't like importing shit to Canada. Who knows? And for prices with these products, it all depends what store you go to. I've definitely noticed that, because these are imported items. They're not made here. But yeah, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. As always, there is more Evangelion stuff coming up for you Ava lovers. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe, like the video. It's always good to see those things. And as always, peace out, guys. Highly recommend this item. This Ava is so cool with his forearms. It's so awesome. See you guys later. Bye-bye.